Okay, I think I'm live streaming now. We're gonna test the chat. Chat test. Ah, yes, I see. So you can't read the chat very well, and that's because whenever I'm recording the window of my Lichess browser window, I need to. Yes, okay, we need to crop this just a bit. See, we can crop it here just a little bit. Um, okay, that'll work. That leaves room for the chat. And then what I can do is I can put my camera up here. So still setting up the technical details. Can we just talk about how awesome OBS Studio is? Now my camera will cover over the move list on the right here, but that's fine because I'm at the Lichess analysis board. And wait a minute, I just realized technically, I just realized something. I realized something that because of what I'm going to be showing you in this stream about chess databases, I do want to make sure that all of the information that's relevant is going to be displayed. So I may have to turn my camera off for now. And I'm going to explain some things. Well, I'll leave my camera on for this portion though, because I want to share some details that are particularly relevant here. So this is what we'll do is I'll put myself there, and this is the analysis board on Lichess. Wait, you're not going to be able to see the whole screen. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off my camera entirely because that I'm going to need to make this entire window show on the screen. That's what I'm going to have to do because all the information has to be seen very relevantly. That's important. The chat may conflict some, but I'm gonna show you if you want to analyze your games from a web browser with lichess.org, this is how you do it. So first, if you're logged into your lichess.org account, you can go to the analysis board on Tools Analysis Board, and then whenever you make moves, you see moves here. So let's start with the Queen's Gambit position. So we're going to do this, and this is the Queen's Gambit position here. So Black hasn't accepted or declined the Gambit yet. And then here's what you do is you go to Opening Explorer and Table Base. So when you go here, you have three options. There's the Masters database, there's the Lichess database, and there's the Player database. So this, you'll see it says Chastity White Rose as white. That means the percentage of times that I've won or lost while I'm playing white. And then if you go to me playing as black, that's a situation where I was playing as black, but white won 100% of the time in those specific positions. So it's kind of strange. The idea is to be able to win in this position, whether I'm playing black or white. But I'm not very good at Queen's Gambit declined. I'm trying to get better at that. So now one thing you'll notice is if you look at when you see my games, you see that there's a lot of wins and losses, but you don't see a bunch of draws. Why don't you see a bunch of draws? Well, that's because I either checkmate or I resign, or my opponents resign. I only resign when I really have to go to work and I'm short on time or something, and I'm about to lose anyway. But usually I like to have the honor of at least letting my opponent actually get to checkmate, and I appreciate when they do the same. But anyway, so if you look at the Masters, you'll see there's a huge amount of draws. why are there so many draws in the Masters database? So, and there's a few draws in the Live Chess database, but with all the billions of games played on Live Chess, I'm surprised there's so few draws by comparison. And let me explain this. Okay, look. Basically, I'm gonna explain this. So you see, back in the old days, before we had online chess and people were traveling around the world participating in these tournaments, there were a lot of times people played for a draw. Like they didn't think they could win, but they would play an opening that they thought would lead to them at least achieving a draw. Or the players would just agree to a draw because it didn't look like anyone was going to win or lose, and they have other games that need to take place in the tournament. So for the sake of time, they just agreed to a draw rather than either side accepting a loss. So I think that's why the Masters database, which has games back as far as the mid 1900s or maybe even earlier, so that's interesting. So, but in my own database of my own livechess.org games, there are almost no draws in existence. So that's interesting. But so if you want to look at specific games, for instance, you see these games. Let's see. There's a way, because if you go to this, it will show you recent games where that position was played. Now, it won't show you all the games, but it will show you the most recent games. So it doesn't give you all the information. But if we want to look at an example here, so if we look at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 recent games it's showing me here. So I have games I've won, games I've lost. So let's look first at this game that I won. Okay, so in this game that I won against, we're going to click on that and it's going to show us here. So this was a game I played against user FDP79, and they were 1920 rated. And so let's see how this game progressed. We have the move list here, and so they accepted the Queen's Gambit. And when they do that, then I move my pawn to e4, and then I try to get this bishop there. But see, they defended that pawn, and that's a mistake. Ludwig Rosman has explained how that's a mistake. And so you just start having some interesting things happen when people try to defend this pawn, because it just always turns into this thing where white ends up winning material, and it's just bizarre. So that was like, it was interesting because it was almost checkmate, but then the queen kills my queen there, I kill their queen back. And let's see what happened in this game. How did I win this game? Because if I keep stepping through the moves, eventually I will see how I won. Very interesting. Yeah, this was kind of a long game here. So I did that, I did the fork, and I captured that. Then I did that, put the king in check, and then I did that, put the king in check again. They captured the knight, but then I captured that knight back. Then they captured that bishop, but then I captured their bishop. So at this point in the game, you can see that we each have a rook and 2 kings, but I have 3 pawns and they have 1. So I had a clear material advantage here. So now that king is trying to do all that stuff. That was weird. Oh, this was a weird game. So right now I'm just stepping through the moves of a game that I already played, trying to see how I won. I probably wasn't even playing the best in this game, but it wasn't too bad. Really wasn't. So that happened, then that happened, and see, they moved their rook out of the way there. I put them in check, then I captured their pawn. They had nothing left. They moved the rook back where it was there. And then, oh, then they resigned because they saw that I was going to promote that pawn to be a queen soon enough, and they knew they were going to lose, so they resigned. And my opponents, I don't get to always checkmate my opponents because they resign too soon. Anyway, you can analyze your Lichess.org games, especially your recent games. It's the best time to analyze a game is probably right while you've just finished playing it and it's fresh in your mind. But there are other tools for analysis. Now, I want to show you something. I want to show you something really cool. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave this for right now. Okay. And you will have to excuse noises of diarrhea because today is colonoscopy prep day. And so I have a colonoscopy tomorrow morning and I have been shitting my guts out. I just want to explain the diarrhea noises. But that doesn't mean I can't play chess and analyze chess games just because I am on the toilet. So just so you know that. So anyway, I want to show some other tools. So I'm going to be switching to entire desktop view. And so you'll see everything on my screen. And let's close this browser. And I want to go to OnCroissant. Now, OnCroissant is this really cool program. It's free and open source. And OnCroissant version 0.11.1. So it's cool. There's the website, oncroissant.org, and it's a really nice program. So here's what I want to show you here. This program, it can download all of your Lichess.org games, but it can also download your chess.com account. So if you go to add account, you can literally put in the username of any Lichess or chess.com player, even like a grandmaster or something. You could literally, if you know their username, you can put in there and you can download a database of all their games. So that's one of the coolest reasons why you should use OnCroissant. Like if you want to analyze a specific player's games, usually your own, but maybe your favorite grandmaster or something, you can use this and download a huge database of games. So you see, I have 608 games on Lichess.org, and that's not counting the games against the AI. Apparently, it doesn't count those. It only counts human against human. But you'll see that I have 2,312 games on Chess.com. But you have to consider that Chess.com I played on there since 2010, so there's just more games I've played on there. But you can go to databases, and I have several databases. So the games that were downloaded from Lichess and chess.com, they are databases on here, and they are selectable. But those are my games specifically. So if I want to analyze my own games specifically, I can do that. So let's go to, if we select this as the reference database, then we go to the analysis board. And then let's go to database section of the analysis board. And you can see all of these first move options in this opening tree are games that I played where the first move was that. So let's say that we select a game such as E4 is the first move. Now, that doesn't mean I played it. Maybe I did, or maybe it was my opponent who played e4. But the point is the e4 move was played. And then after that, well, what might have happened? Well, there may have been the Scandinavian defense. There may have been a d5. And then there's several options. I mean, because there's e5, which is an option where, see, white can advance the pawn. That's one way. But it's also quite common for white to capture that pawn. And then we have the whole Scandinavian defense. So see, the queen goes there, and then the knight goes there, And you see that 97% of the time, this is what has happened. Because the Scandinavian defense is predictable. That's part of why I haven't been using it lately. It's just too predictable. But anyway, so the thing is, you get to choose your reference database or your local database, and you also get the Lichess all and master, so you can still view the online Lichess databases. You can tell that this program was designed specifically for Lichess, but it also integrates with chess.com as well. So it's nice. However, I made a database specifically for myself here. I made a database of my own games here. I'm going to show you how I import this, because these have all my games. These two databases have all the games I've played on those platforms. However, I want to show you something really, really cool. So I have a folder here. And in this folder, I have the PGN, Portable Game Notation files. I have Kaisabase, which is a database of some of the top players, but it's like over 3.5 gigabytes. It's a large file. It's a text file, but you can't open it in a text editor because the program will crash. And then there is a README file here, and I wrote this README here because here's what's important: is there's this tool called PGN Extract, and it details how this file. It details how I used EnCroissant to get the database of my games, and then I installed PGN Extract. PGN Extract is a tool that you can use. For example, this command here sets the output file to chasebase.pgn, and then it uses my Lichess and chess.com databases as the input databases. So you can combine your different platform games into one file for one database. But then, this is the key issue. I wanted to make a special file that only included games that involved the Queen's Gambit and the French defense. So the way this works is we are combining both of these files from these two platforms, and the output file is chasebase.pgn, and then we're filtering it to only include games that end in a checkmate, and then we're doing the xvars.txt, and vars.txt is a file, and it contains these lines. So that means it will try to select games that include these openings. So if you look at the file, I have that file, vars.txt, opens Notepad, and you see it contains those exact lines. So what I did is I ran this, okay, now that was my Kaisabase, but I ran this command, and it created a database. It's the sum of both of those databases, but filtered specifically only to those openings. So, for example, if we open chasebase.pgn, it's a PGN file, so you can open it as a text file. So if you look at this, every single PGN file, because it can contain one or multiple games, and this tells you the exact link to review that game on Lichess. This is exceptionally helpful. It tells you the usernames of who was playing. It tells you who won or lost. It tells you what their ELO ratings were. It tells you the entire move list. It tells you what the time control. If this was a classical game, then we know that it was probably a 30-minute game. So there's the move list. So look at this game. It starts with D4, D5, C4, and then DX, So White accepted the Queen's Gambit. So I understand this because I know chess notation. But then this game here, E4, E6. So if you look at that, you realize, oh, that's the French defense. Now, if you don't know chess notation well, you're going to have a hard time visualizing this, but you don't have to interpret this yourself. This is where EnCroissant comes in. So I made this file. That's OBS Studio. So I made that PGN file. That PGN file is just showing you. We are going to add that as a new database. So you can install existing databases from the internet. You can totally do that. However, I'm going to add a local database. So what we're going to do is we're going to do chat. Okay, it's going to be, let's do Chastity, Queen's Gambit, and French. That's what we're going to call it. So the important thing is, let's see, description, openings, I am studying. That's what it's going to be. And then we have to select the PGN file. Now the cool thing is once you import a database from the PGN file, then it will convert that into the format that Engresant uses natively. But we're going to open this. Notice how small, 181 kilobytes, that file. It's a lot smaller than the other files there because it's a very small subsection. So now we're going to convert that database. So here it is. Now we're going to select this as a reference database. And now that that's our reference database, what we're going to do is we're going to, let's just start over. Let's do an analysis board. And you can see, like, for example, first of all, this is the analysis board. You see a blank PGN here. So you see if a move is made, then it adds that move to the PGN. And of course, you can go back. You can totally go back here, and then it ends up being weird. So you can have different multiple variations, which I think is kind of dumb here. So we're going to just delete all the moves here. We're going to delete all the moves and go back to a blank file here. But we're going to click on database. So notice something here. Notice if you look carefully here on this local database, which we just imported from that PGN file, notice that the first move is either D4 or E4. Now, why is this important? Okay, the reason this is important is because, first of all, these are the two most important moves. And the French defense always begins with white playing E4. And then black plays C6. I mean E6. And then the Queen's Gambit always begins with D4. So because we've filtered the games, we know that I've played the Queen's Gambit, or maybe my opponent has, in games I've played against me, 177 times. So first, let's analyze this line. So there's D4, and then notice that 100% of the time it's D5. If you have the full database, it's going to have different options, but because we have filtered it to only include either French defense or Queen's Gambit, 100% of the games here are going to be D5. And the next move is always C4. But now that we're in the Queen's Gambit position, you can see the percentage of times that in the games I've played against other humans on livechess.org or chess.com, you can see the percentage of times. If you look at this, you'll see that the most common thing my opponents did was accepting the gambit, because dxc4 means that the d pawn captures the c pawn on c4. And notice the win percentage. Notice that I win 70% of the time when they accept the Queen's Gambit. And this, my friends, is precisely why I keep telling people that accepting the Queen's Gambit is actually a mistake. Like, yes, you can still win if you accept the Gambit, but it just puts you in a really dumb position. So let's look as an example here. So they accept the Gambit, and then look at this. Now, there's two games where they played knight f3, or it was either me or it was either me or it was my opponent. And in fact, there's a way to find out. And that's interesting. I hear my mom's phone ring. Who would be calling my mom at this time of night? My mom's in bed. That's just annoying. It's probably Tam. Anyway, so if we click on games here, we can see. Now this is interesting. This is actually very interesting because This, if you look up the date on these games, this is 2010. There were 2 games I played against someone named InManiac. So that's interesting here. So let's take a look at one of these games. So let's see what happened here. So InManiac was playing as white, and then I was playing black in this specific game back in 2010. It was August 10th, 2010, and that was a long time ago. So you see that I accepted the Queen's Gambit because I didn't know what the Queen's Gambit was back then. I was just playing chess. I had no idea about openings. So I accepted it, and then they decided they're going to do knight f3 there. Okay, that's kind of freaky. So then I got my bishop out, and let's see what happened in this game. So they got their bishop there, and then I moved my bishop there, and then they did that. Okay, this is cool because see, when somebody puts your king in check while attacking your bishop there, this knight move that I actually did way back then is the only correct move. Every other move results in losing the bishop. So I did the right move. And then I did that, and then they captured that. And let's see. We were mostly equal in our position. And then what happened here? Wait a minute. Oh, I see how it was. Okay, so yeah. So I wasn't playing as white there. They were playing as white there. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of an interesting concept because it's just you just have to make the best move in each situation there. But the point is, I'm using this database that I created by filtering it with pgnextract. I'm filtering through and analyzing games as far back as 2010. So I've actually been playing online chess for a really long time. But only recently have I learned how to analyze games that old, because they would be hard to find without tools like EnCroissant and pgnextract. So let's look at it. Let's go back though. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go and delete all these moves here. And then let's look at an example of the French defense. So e4 and then e6, the French defense here. And if we look at this, let's see here. So that's the French defense starting position. But then after that, weird things happen. Usually, that's what white does. That's the most common move. And then black does this, and then that's the advanced variation. Because see, there's the exchange variation where that happens and that happens. So that's not bad. And I'm still new to the French defense, but I believe that in the right hands the French defense is very good. But the advanced variation is actually very common. So let's look at this situation. If we look at this, there were 15 games where the advanced variation occurred. And wait a minute. That's weird. Wait, why am I? Oh, this is very weird. I'm in like a whole different. Yeah, that's okay. This is weird. Let me just start a fresh analysis board because this is looking funny here. So yeah, we're just gonna go with the French defense, and then we're gonna go with the advanced variation here. Look at the database here. So if you look at this, most of the time, in this advanced variation, white won. And that's not good because the idea of the French defense is it's an opening that's supposed to help black win. Now, but we have to look at these games more in depth. So let's look at this. So you'll notice that look at this, guys. In 100% of the cases, black played c5. which ironically is precisely what Lovie Rosman recommends, and some other people are recommending this. So now that we've filtered it down to 15 games, let's look at this. So there's games I won and there's games I lost. Now this is interesting. So because I lost most of these games because I did not know what to do with the French defense advanced variation. I was still very new to this. But let's look at an example here where I did win. Let's see here. So against computer won easy. Well, that's interesting. That was on chess.com. Was somebody using a bot against me? That's a little weird. So let's look at what happened in this game on chess.com years ago. In fact, let's see, since I was the one playing black, that means I was using the French defense. So, and I think this was years ago. So there's that, the French defense, advanced variation, c5, and then that. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. But this was back in 2010, July of 2010, and I was playing the French defense the exact same way that I play it now. That's insane. My playing style has remained the same for 14 years. Wow. I just really like the French defense. What can I say, guys? I like the French defense. It's beautiful to me. It's just beautiful. So yeah, that was just weird. So let's see what happened here. Somehow I must have gotten the advantage against my opponent here. Okay, they did that. They did that. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's just crazy. Like, they literally, first, they just sacrificed their bishop, captured with a pawn. They put the rook there, I captured with my queen. And then, yeah, so they're just letting me have their pieces. They were playing very badly. And even though I was new to the whole French defense thing and really didn't know what I was doing, I wasn't doing half bad there. So then I got their rook, and then that happened, then that happened. Oh, they were playing real bad. That's probably the only reason I won. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, there we go. I was a beginner back then, but they made some bad moves and I still won. Wow. Okay, there we go. Checkmate. So that's how it happened that I won that game of the French defense way back then. But if you look at it, it's not really that bad, because if you look at this, when you encounter the advanced variation, c5 is actually a really good move here, and that's because you have a black queen's gambit happening here. You see that? Because then they are declining the black queen's gambit. So instead we start getting the knight out, and I might have played this a little bit differently now, because I would not have done that. See, what we want is white to capture the pawn, but capturing that pawn with black is actually not a good thing to do right now. We need to wait for that pawn to try to capture our pawn so that we can get the bishop out there. But anyway, that's just my nerd rant about the French defense. But here's the point, guys. The point is you can analyze. You can filter. You can play a set of moves, and then you can find all the positions where you've played that move. But okay, so let me explain something though. We want to talk about now, why are chess databases useful? Well, okay, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna close all that, and then I'm just gonna switch back to camera for a while here. Let's see. And I'm going to talk about why are chess databases helpful. Because if you have a chess database of your own games, that can show you what you've done in the past in your games, what worked and what didn't work. So it can give you a sort of a record of, what what type of progress you're making, and you can learn a certain style. So the filters I chose for creating this database, though, first of all, I filtered that out to only include checkmates because that's one of the flags, one of the options of PGN extract. Because if somebody wins or loses because they run out of time in bullet chess, that's not helpful because it's not a mistake you made. It's not a strategy you can use. Instead, somebody just ran out of time because bullet chess is stupid. So first of all, games that somebody didn't make their move in time for correspondence, or they ran out of time on the clock on live chess, that's not helpful. Games that end in a checkmate are helpful. Games that end in a resignation are not helpful because you could be in a winning position and you could still totally resign thinking you're losing. So because of the psychology of humans, chess databases are only so useful as the effort that went into creating the database. So here's the thing. If I'm playing a certain opening and I make a certain sequence of moves, the opening alone doesn't make you win or lose the game. You still have to get through the middle game and the end game. And usually somewhere in the middle game is where most people screw up. So the Queen's Gambit is really good opening for white. It's really good. There's lots of different ways to play it, lots of variations. And the French defense is actually good. The French defense and the Caro-Kann, people often debate over which is better, the French defense or the Caro-Kann. But the truth is, they're both about equal, but I like the French defense. And you may be wondering why I like the French defense so much. Well, I want to explain why I like the French defense better than the Caro-Kann and why it feels natural to me. But before I do that, I want to show you one more tool. I'm going to open ChessBase. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch back to desktop view, and then we're going to go to Steam because I bought ChessBase, guys. I totally bought ChessBase. Now, I wanted to see what the hype was about, okay? Because I use a lot of free and open source programs. I like using Winboard. I use using Playground, Skid vs. PC, on Croissant. You can see there on my desktop how I have some of those icons there. I know all the best free and open source tools. However, I did install ChessBase 17. And I want to show you something cool. I want to show you ChessBase. I don't know enough about how to use it well right now. However, if you look at this, you'll see that database that I was showing you in that database in En Croissant. And if you look at this, you can see that I have this exact same database. This is a very it's my custom database. And so what's cool is, see, I can go up and down through the games. I'm pressing up and down on my arrow keys, and it takes me to a different game. So I can go up or down, I can go through the games, and then once I've selected a game, so let's say that I find a game that, oh, okay. So this is a game that was a rated rapid game. So let's say I want to step through this. It shows the notation there. But if I press right, then it goes forward. If I press left, it goes backward. That's actually super cool. So I can literally step through every single move that happened in this game. And one thing I like about this is En Croissant is nice. However, you have to do a lot of pointing and clicking. Whereas once I have a database opened here, I can literally just look at one game after another because I have my own databases. Okay, why is my phone dinging? Okay, anyway, so this is nice. So I can just look at one game, see what happened, and then I can just go down. I can look at the next game, and it's really, really cool. Now, there's a lot of things I don't know here. There's a lot of things I don't know, but the point is I can use ChessBase to go through my own personal database of games, and then I can also, um, you know, I could use other databases too. And also, if you want to customize a few things, you can. So, okay, so let's see here. If we go here, you can choose different piece designs. I've chosen the one that I think looks good. Okay, wait, I want the gray background. Yeah, okay, I want the gray background. Wait, that's weird. Like what? Okay, yeah, there it is. So there's that and the pieces. Yeah, okay, that's all good. That's totally good. Yeah, it's bizarre because yeah, but anyway, the point is you can go through your book. Now let's see. I don't know how to use this program very well yet. I don't really know how to use it well. So let me go back. Oh wait. Okay, no, that doesn't work. Okay, yeah, I haven't figured out. I know that there's got to be a way to like filter through the percentage of games with certain openings, and I know there's a way to do it, but I don't really know how to use this program very well yet. So that's something I'm not entirely sure of. So I have ChessBase, and I don't really know what I'm doing with it, but I do like that I can just use my own database that I created, and I could open other databases too, theoretically. But it also, when you first install this program, the pieces aren't really working. There's a certain prerequisites that you have to install. So there's a certain folder you have to go into. And I do want to show that in this video because, for example, at first it was showing letters and it wasn't showing symbols or pieces. All you have to do is you have to go to the installed files here, and then you have to go to prereqs, and you have to run this installer, and it installs the ChessBase fonts, and then it will show you the pieces that you're supposed to see. So ChessBase 17 looks extremely cool, but I haven't learned how to really use it for databases as well as I have on Croissant. On Croissant is my main go-to program. It's really nice. And then also Skid versus PC is actually really cool. So if you go to Skid versus PC, which is a free program, you can also use if you want to look at a database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that exact same database. We're going to open it here, and let's look at the results here. So right now it's showing this particular game, but you can go to, let's see, here's the game list. So you can literally go to these games here. So if you see, let's choose this one, then it will show you this game, and you can step through this game using Skid versus PC as well. I just don't know as much about how to do it because the interface I'm not used to. But if somebody learned how to use this program, they can do a lot. But this is basically a nice free alternative to ChessBase, and Croissant is also nice too. I just wanted to see what the official ChessBase is about. But this is a nice program. So, but if we go to, let's see, where the tree window. Okay, so the tree window here, you'll see this. Let's see here. Okay, so let's Yeah, let's see here. Let's go to the beginning here. So we're just on a board here, and you can see similar numbers here. 177 games where D4 was played, 105 where E4 was played. So let's look at Queen's Gambit. There, we're going to do that. The first three moves are always the same in this database, and then it shows you now. Notice that it will say the frequency, but the score. This percentage here, I don't know if you can read it because the text is kind of small. So it says that 70% of the time, white is winning when black accepts the gambit, which is the exact same statistics that En Croissant shows. So it shows you the same statistics, but it only shows you the percentage for white. So you have to subtract 70 from 100 to know that 30% of the time black wins. So it tells you the white's win percentage. Now, you have to understand something though. White wins more often than black. This is just a fact. The advantage is not that much, but the win percentage for white is generally higher in almost all openings that have been played a lot. But basically, there's different ways of doing things. So I want to show you one more thing, though, before I end this stream, which nobody's been watching anyway, but hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my Lichess scene. I'm going to go back to my Lichess scene. Okay, there we are. So this is the analysis board, and let's turn off the openings analysis here. Let's turn that off, and I want to show you first of all, white has an advantage. They get to start, and the most common move for white is E4, and E4 is a good move. There's a reason a lot of people start with it, and then in response, you can use the French defense. Or you could do the Scandinavian defense, moving that pawn. They all have names. And then this is the Caro-Kann defense. And usually white gets two pawns in the center when this happens. And there's that. So that's the Caro-Kann defense, which is similar to the French defense. Now, there's also the Sicilian defense. Now, the Sicilian defense is actually kind of good, partly because of the fact that white can't get their pawn in the center there. I mean, they can, like white can still totally get their pawn in the center there, and the black can capture, but then you see the queen can just come there and capture it. He says his move is not the best. Even though it regains the pawn, black can simply harass white's queen with 3 knight c6. I mean, yeah, this is true. So it's really, that is a situation there where the queen, I mean, yes, the queen can escape. It's actually not too different from the Scandinavian in a way. It's very similar, a similar system anyway. But then it's just kind of weird. But anyway, the thing is, but I'm a D4 player. When I'm white, I'm playing D4, and that's because I'm trying to go into the Queen's Gambit. And if you look at that, this is the Queen's Gambit position, and I've covered this before. But when they accept the gambit like this, I know what to do. I just start getting pieces out. They start making moves, and I start wiping out this pawn, and they start getting other things out. That kind of thing happens. But when they decline the gambit, the Queen's Gambit decline is actually the best thing for black to do. They decline it with this. And you may wonder, well, why is this the best? Well, part of the reason is that you want to defend this pawn with a pawn. But here's the thing about it is people disagree Some people think that the Queen's Gambit Decline, where you move this pawn here, is the best, but other people are about the Slav defense. Slav defense is where you're using this pawn instead. Now, if you look at this, the Slav defense looks a lot like the Caro-Kann, and the Queen's Gambit Decline looks like the French defense. And that's part of why I like it. I admit I'm a little biased because the black side looks exactly like the French defense. And so that's part of it. But another reason it's especially helpful is because if you're playing as black, you want to be able to get this bishop out and put the king in check. And that's what a lot of people do. So what I usually do is I get this here, but then they try to pin the knight, and then I try to put them in check, and then hope they mess up. They usually don't, but that's the only correct move. If they do anything else, their bishop's dead. But another move that I've been toying around with, because once you play the Queen's Gambit and they decline, there's all kinds of things that could happen. So this is something that can be done. We can move the bishop here. Now, if the bishop is moved here, then they're not going to move their bishop out here because it would just get taken. So they're not likely to do that. But so they will start getting other moves out. And this is where it gets interesting, because if you look at this, the knight can come here, but this is a situation where, yes, the bishop could indeed, try to, it could do this, but then it's not any danger because you can still do things with it. The knight in this position, the knight's able to move because if the bishop wasn't here, then the knight would be pinned against the king. So really, I'm still wondering, like, is this a good thing to do? Is this a good thing to do to move the bishop here? And honestly, I'm not even that sure. I'm not even sure if that's really a good thing to do or not. Because there's a lot of other options. And now I'm just going into opening theory for the Queen's Gambit Decline. But I have my certain styles. There's things I like to do. So, for example, I like putting this knight here. I like doing that. And even if they do take the knight, that's not really the worst thing in the world. One of the things I kind of like to do here is I like to move the queen here. Because if I move the queen here, people already know what happens. They get the knight out here, and then I can't do anything. This is kind of a dumb spot for the queen. Whereas moving the queen here is not a bad thing to do. Yes, the bishop will probably take the knight, and I mean that's not the worst thing in the world. But even if this pawn takes this, then we could just capture back with the queen, so it's not any problem. And if they do something else, and if they, instead of doing that, if they do some other random move, then we can start still, we can do that, and they'll capture. And then we can get this pawn here, see? Because of the fact we had this capture of the bishop from this, now we have another pawn. So now we're using this pawn, and so we get to do that, and it just turns into a whole big thing here. But obviously, the game will vary how it's going to go for you, obviously. But, oh, look at this. See, in this particular position, I just realized this. Oh, this is funny. And see, I'm just making all the moves myself, but look at this. If you look at that, then check. And the knight can't move back there, or the pawn takes it. They can move a pawn in the way here, for instance, but then we still get to capture the knight. So white wins material, but I mean, basically, the opening alone doesn't decide things. However, I will say this. Databases, whether you're using the Lichess, analysis board to analyze things, because you can totally do that. Yeah, you can totally analyze positions using Lichess.org, the analysis board, Or you can use a program like EnCroissant, or you could use ChessBase or Skid versus PC or whatever you want to use. There's another program called ChessX. So there's a lot of different software you can use to analyze your positions, your opening positions. And openings are fun because when you're trying to play, you're trying to win, it's better to study certain openings. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to study my favorite openings, basically. And part of the reason, part of the reason I'm so adamant about this is because I know like my favorite openings. I know my favorite openings now, basically, because if white plays, if I'm playing black and white plays e4, then I just know gonna jump into the French defense. But if I'm playing white, then I'm just going to move queen's pawn. And I have here, if they move their pawn here, I can go into the London. I can totally go into the London system, which I've done a lot. Or I can go into the Queen's Gambit. And I found the Queen's Gambit to be a lot more fun. So I know my favorite two openings for white. And basically, my favorite openings for black are going to be Queen's Gambit declined if my opponent plays the Queen's Gambit against me, or it's going to be the French defense if they start with e4. So I know my favorite openings, and the Queen's Gambit covers one of my openings for black and white, and then the French defense is more of just like, my opponent's going to play e4, so I'm going to play e6 and try to go into a French defense. But basically, I'm a nerd. Oh, hey, we have a chatter. Hey, thanks for the chat, Hannibal. Thanks for watching. Yeah, there we are. There's our person. They commented there. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just doing some chess here, and I think the perfect thing to do would be to play a game of chess. I'm going to let's go into the lobby. Oh, look at this. 10-minute game, casual. All right, here we go. I'm in a live chess game with a real person now. Yeah. Oh, I have confirm move on because I hate mouse slipping. Oh, look at this. They also see. Here we go. We have Queen's Gambit there. See, I just start a live game. No, this is actually live. This is actually live right now. I'm just live streaming right now. So yes, I can read your chats, Hannibal 12719, and I am playing a live chess game here. So this is fun. Okay, so they got the knight going there. Interesting. The Queen's Gambit is totally like my thing. It's like my favorite thing. I'm going to turn off the confirm move for this game though, because I just find it annoying to have to do it every single time. So there's that. And let's get this other knight out here, because I don't want that knight to take that pawn, so I'm defending it with this knight. Oh. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, maybe this might be a bad idea, but I'm just... Wait a minute. Oh. Hey, look at that. I can use this bishop to just take that pawn and threaten the knight. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure here what I'm doing. I don't want to... I could take that knight, but then as soon as I do, then that opens up that bishop because they'll use that pawn. So I'm just going to move the bishop back right there for now. That's what I'm going to do. So I've captured a pawn, but they haven't captured any of my stuff yet. I am playing a live chess game. That's one of my favorite things to do. And someone, they said, is there a lag between stream and chat? There may be a slight lag, but you have to understand, I have to switch to the OBS window. I have to do Alt-Tab and switch back to the OBS Studio window in order to actually, see what you're saying. Okay, well, okay, let's try this. Let's try getting that knight there. Let's try moving that knight there. Yes, there we are. Okay, so now that happened. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Check. Fork between the king and the knight. Oh, they captured. I wasn't expecting that. Now I killed their queen. I just totally killed my opponent's queen here. This must be a new chess player that's new to the site, because you see their rating is 1500 there with a question mark. So they have not played, oh, they have played 93 games, but they must have been casual games because they haven't really gotten a rating yet. So I just totally destroyed their queen. I think I'm winning this game. I think I'm winning this game. Wait a minute. Well, that's awkward. Okay. Okay, that's terrifying. Because see now my king can't move. Okay, yeah, this is stupid. So now the only move is to put my knight in the way. Oh, I see what they did there. They got my queen too because it see, because I did not move this pawn, my king didn't have an escape. I probably should have tried to castle sooner or something like that. But I can still win this game. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I made a mistake and I lost my queen too, and that was unfortunate. Oh well, that's one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever made playing the Queen's Gambit. But I think I'll still be all right. I think so because now I can start getting yeah. Let's chase this knight around a little bit. Let's just chase it around and see where it thinks it's gonna go. Okay, let's try that. There we go. There we go. There's that, and now there's that. I'm winning this game. I did make a mistake earlier, but my opponent didn't notice. They noticed the one that cost me my queen, but I killed their queen first. You never know how chess is going to go. Anybody can outsmart anybody here. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I can start getting some of my pieces out here. Yeah, I know that looks weird. Yeah, it does look very weird, I know. But I'm actually going somewhere with this. Ooh, wait, what? Okay, well, I don't like the look of that very much. I really don't. Um, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna advance that rook right there. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, let me check the chats. Yep, that's right. I did lose my queen, Hannibal. I totally lost my queen again. It's so sad. See, when I'm playing the Queen's Gambit, one of the weird things is I never quite know what to do with my e pawn. Because if I just move it to e4, it can be captured, you know. Um, so I feel weird about that, but okay. I'm going to try moving that bishop right there. Okay, they totally did that. So let's capture that pawn, and if that bishop captures my bishop, then I capture their bishop back. But I got to kill a pawn too, so I'm still ahead in material. I still stand a pretty good chance of winning this. We're very close to equal in material, but even if both bishops are lost, I'll still have a bishop and two rooks, so I'll have the advantage here. I'm probably going to win this game, but you never know. You can never tell because you think you're in a winning position, and then something crazy happens. That's what's wild about the game of chess. shit happens, basically. So now that that happened, we're going to just capture this pawn over here. I'm just wiping out as much of the material as I can. Okay. Hey, I'll take it. I'll totally take it. I mean, why not? They just let me take their rook. And then they did that. So, okay. Okay, now we're going to do check. Because my bishop, see, protects the rook, see. It protects it. So the king has to move. King has to move, and that's all there is to it. So the king moved there. So now if the king has moved there, I can come, well, there's options here. But probably the best option, let's just eliminate that rook. Now I still have a rook, and they don't have any rooks. So now that I have this rook and a bishop, my chances of winning this game just went up significantly. And see, their bishop is a light squared bishop. And so what I can do is I can try to get my pieces on dark squares for the most part, because that way they won't be able to capture any pieces that are on dark squares, because the bishop can only go to 32 squares of 64. So there's that. So that bishop is basically powerless. Now my own bishop can't do very much either, but it still has some options. But I have all these pawns. So because I have a huge number of pawns here, all I really need to do to win this is I need to start advancing pawns, get one of them to become a queen, and just wipe them out. I can checkmate them. Technically, I don't need to do that to checkmate them. I could probably do it with my king and rook. But it's more fun to get a queen now, isn't it? It's just more fun that way. Because that way I will get my queen back, because I lost my queen by being stupid, so. Alright, so there's that. And, okay, yeah, let's do that. I feel like I'm in a position now where it would be very hard for me to lose. I would have to make some really stupid moves. And I may be stupid, but I'm not that stupid. So here we go. There's that. So check. Then I capture that pawn. And then the king goes there, and I capture the other pawn. This is easier than I thought it was going to be. Wow. Okay. Fun, fun. So, check. Okay, so now you see what's happened there is that the king is, wait a minute. Oh, look at this. The bishop can't move now because it would put the king in check. So now there's check and check. There is literally nothing that this king can do now to stop me. All right. I got my queen back. There we go. So, check. And then we'll try that, not let it take the pawn. Then we're going to put it in check, discovered check, because my queen's there. And then I just need to find a good way to checkmate this king. I believe there's got to be a way. And I think I'm discovering it. Check. Okay. Check. Checkmate. There, I did it. I won. I love it. So I lost my queen, but I got a new queen. I advanced my pawn to the other side. That is very exciting. Actually, I feel like that was the perfect finisher. I feel like, yes, that was definitely the perfect finisher because I got to explain the chess analysis using on Croissant and Skid vs. PC and ChessBase and analyzing my custom-made database. So that's a great way I can look back at games from even as far back as 2010. But I like the Queen's Gambit and I like the French defense. And the London system is nice too. Most of my games on Light Chess have been the London system, and I've had a lot of success with it. But if you get yourself into a position where both sides have played their queen's pawns, you may as well play c4 and go into Queen's Gambit. It's totally worth studying because the Queen's Gambit, accepted, declined, Slav defense, all these different lines, they all have their own different opening theory. And for me, chess isn't just about winning. It's about having fun. It's about keeping my brain sharp. And it's about winning in the way I like to win. I totally have my own way I like to win. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, Hannibal. At least I had one chatter this time. And what I like to do, one of these things I like to do, is I like to finish with my theme song. So I am going to play my theme song. And I'm going to turn off my microphone so I can lip sync to my own song I made with artificial intelligence.
Destiny sat down, chessboard in the light.